get those engines good enough to run, we're going to give an engine swap, put her engines in the 6.8. But she's more complete. The problem with 901 is when she was transported here, they took the outer wings off and cut a load of wiring looms and hydraulics and all sorts, so it's a bit of a basket case. So that one's kind of the display aircraft, which we can let people sit in and have a look around. 6.8's a work in progress. I mean, I'm about 2.5 years into that, but that's getting there slowly. And then 974, which is hiding up there in the corner.
Yeah,
974, first production S2. So she was originally laid down on the production line as an S1. She was the second S2 ever built. The first one was converted from an NA39. So she's the first ever production S2. So she never went into service. She was always a test aeroplane. So she's a little different to the back cockpit and a standard production machine. But she's our live aircraft, so yeah, you very likely worked on that aeroplane quite a few times then. So 74 is our live aircraft, so we keep that in running condition. So hopefully early on next year we're going to be running again, because the air start unit decided to throw its toys out the pram at the beginning of this year. So we've not run her in nearly a year, but we've just finished rebuilding the air start unit. So yeah, hopefully in a couple of weeks time we'll do it for Christmas. No, I'm a civil engineer. I just got involved with all this sort of after the day job. So. Yeah, so if you want to come and have a look in 901, I've got 901 open and we've got some steps up so you can have a look inside.
Hi everyone. So I'm at York Air Museum. If you have any questions for my dad in regards to obviously the aircraft he worked on, please let me know. Unfortunately there isn't a Trident here, but they do have the Buccaneer, which is an aircraft that my dad has worked on. So if you have any questions, obviously please don't answer the comment below.
Because obviously they were built
Yeah, for you.
built nice and strong and they're fairly corrosion resistant. So. When you got steps, just watch the platforms a little bit on the wobbly side, but
Don't fall on the stairs.
fall down.
Get up the stairs for you.
So she's pretty much complete inside. There's a couple of boxes missing, there's a couple of secure radios and things that were removed by the RAF. But apart from that, she's pretty much complete. The back cockpit's got a couple of bits and pieces missing out of it. The roll panel's been taken out, which we have got roll panels somewhere for the pave spike, which I do intend to fit back in at some point. But yeah, so she's a static aeroplane, but she is pretty much complete cockpit-wise and what have you. If you can manage it, you're more than welcome to jump in and have a sit.
No, I'd get out.
You don't want to try that?
No. Well, you see me on the video. On a motorbike. He said, jump on. I said, you must be joking. No,
Jump on, fall off.
74, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I never figured out? They wear gloves, and some of these instruments were so delicate.
Yeah.
Little sticks.
Well, when I'm running 974, I do sometimes wear gloves and sometimes I don't. But I've got a very thin pair of gloves that I wear. I don't wear leather flying gloves because I find they can be restrictive. Yeah. So down this side we've got engine master controls, engine master switches down there. Then you've got weapon selection, interior lighting, aerial selection for radios, obviously your throttles. Then you've got undercarriage indication, undercarriage selector, flaps, hook. Then you've got your flying panel. So you've got airspeed indicator, which is on a strip rather than on a standard dial.
Yeah.
Right, rate of climb and descent, altimeter, artificial horizon, and your compass.
Yeah.
And then there's your engine instruments. So you've got, if you look, you've got two sets of RPM gauges.
Yeah.
Because the engines are what's called a dual spool. So the N1, which is the cold side of the engine, the front of the engine, and then the N2, which is the hot part of the engine, are on two different gauges. And then in the middle you've got TGT, which is turbine gas temperature, which is obviously so you can keep an eye on how hot your engines are running. When we start the aircraft, you always watch that like a hawk, because it goes above 525. You immediately shut the engine down, because at that point the engine's too hot, it's going to start melting bits in the engine. So,
Jesus.
so if you do get a hot start, you just shut it down and let it stop and cool down a little bit. Then all those strip gauges on that side there, that's all your fuel gauges. So you've got 8 fuel tanks, but the fuel system's a little bit odd. You've got 4 master tanks and 4 slave tanks.
Yeah.
So you fill all 8 tanks, but only the 4 master tanks feed the engines, the 4 slave tanks feed the master tanks. So when you look at the fuel gauges, you'd think, oh, I've got lots of fuel, and then all of a sudden all 4 slave tanks are empty, and you've only got 4 masters. So it's like, where's half my fuel disappeared off to?
Yeah.
Then down that side you've got more external lighting switches, some breakers, the little gauges for the battery voltage. Then you've got things like the pressure gauges for the for the blow system. Then in the back, which you can't really see, but in the back is the nav's cockpit.
Oof, bloody hell.
And in there he's got the radar screen, he's got, there's a small TV screen in there as well, which was either used for Martel or for Pave Spike, which this aircraft's fitted out as Pave Spike. And he's got another almost set of instruments in there, so he's got a compass and bits and pieces. Obviously he doesn't need flying controls in the back because there's no stick in the back. There's never any two-seaters built, so
Yeah.
he's just got his nav kit in the back. But that's pretty much the cockpit layout. Then you've
I
got,
must admit, when I look back, they're a lot smaller than I thought they were.
they're fairly roomy. It's not somewhere you want to spend too long a day.
No, no, but
Yeah, they're compared to something like a Lightning or something like that, they're positively roomy. I think I'm just used to being in them, so it doesn't make a lot of difference. Then pretty much everything from the pressure bulkhead back is either bomb bay or fuel tanks. So
Yeah.
the bomb bay is underneath, which is rotating bomb. Basically, the door is that bomb bay itself. So the door, when it's closed, is flush with the aeroplane. The bombs sit on the door, and then when you want to drop the weapons, the door rolls through 180 degrees, and you drop the weapons out and roll the door shut again. This aircraft's fitted with a overload fuel tank, so it's got a big fuel tank in the bomb bay.
Yeah, I
as
was
well.
looking at. Yeah, I was talking about that earlier on when we was having a walkabout.
we produced the mock-up for the first, the blister. on
The bomb door tank, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has got a bomb door tank. Obviously, it's rolled. 6.8's got a bomb door tank, but 7.4's still got the original flush bomb bay sheet. We'd never had a bomb bay tank, so
On all accounts, it handled better when they fitted that.
I've talked to pilots and they've not said it made any great difference from a flush door to a bomb door tank. So
I think they were expecting it to have problems, because I know years ago they used to have problems with flutter at the back end.
yeah,
Fin, top of the fin.
but that's one of the reasons why the bullets were fitted
Yeah.
to counteract the flutter.
I don't know whether it's true or not, but they always used to say they fitted this afterwards, because if they had to eject, it was difficult with the wind blowing through.
It's on the one of the first ejections when I lost one of the NA-39s, the guy in the back couldn't bang out because obviously when the canopy came off, the airflow pinned him to his seat and he couldn't reach his ejection handle. And he actually sat in the aeroplane for about 2.5 minutes after the pilot had gone, until the aeroplane eventually, I think it either was climbed and stalled or whatever, which case then the airflow stopped enough for him to grab the seat handle and banged out.
Jesus.
But they came up with about 3 or 4 different designs of this, and originally it was going to be made out of metal. But the problem being is the seats are slightly this way, so the pilot sits over to this side of the aircraft, the nav sits that side slightly, because one of the nav's job when you land on the carrier is they have set blow gauges and an angle of attack gauge on there. So his job was to basically keep an eye on that to make sure the pilot didn't get himself in a sticky situation where they were going for a swim.
Oof.
So obviously if that had been made out of metal, he couldn't see forwards.
Yeah.
So then they changed it and made it perspex so he could actually see forwards. But yeah, that's a true story. So that's an afterthought.
You're gonna try sitting, Dad.
You got a crane? And lower me in. No, the old knees and the back. I've had back problems over the last few months.
So if you have a wander down, I'll drop an engine door so you can see.
Ooh, you're good, Dad. Yeah, for those who are wondering, this is a who made the Buccaneer, Dad? It was a Blackburn Buccaneer. It's a 60s, 70s aircraft, isn't it? 60s, 70s aircraft for someone wondering. Fighter jet over there, that is a Hawk Hunter. The cockpit over there, I can't remember off the top of my head what that is. If you're going for the navigator's station, that's the sort of room you have, which so the instruments are missing, but crikey, certainly looks interesting. Let's have a look at the look at the engine bit. There you go. Oh wow.
I know big and beefy the fact that it folds up and squeezes into that small hole is interesting.
When I worked on home, I was folding my eyes. How the hell is that going there? And it
Well, so as the leg comes up, the bottom part of the leg comes up and folds up to here,
Yeah.
and then the leg rotates into the bait. And that's why we've got that beefy
There we go.
underground.
Yeah.
And obviously it's beefy undercarriage is well designed to take the impact of landing on the
Engine
aircraft.
over here.
Another thing that the aircraft's got as well, which is not an unusual thing, is it's got what's called a blown flap system.
Yeah.
Or it's generally referred to as blow. So where that silver edge is there, the silver edge along the wing, is a very thin slot. And what it does, it taps air off the engine and it feeds it through that slot. So what it does, it cons the airflow. As you fly slower, the airflow starts to break away from the wing. So what that does, it actually pulls the airflow back to the wing, so you can actually fly slightly slower than you could do without blown flaps, without the blow system on. So it means you could slow down slightly, so you could land on an aircraft carrier easy. You could actually, I think it's something like about 18 knots slower if you fly the blow on, something like that. That's paved spike pod, so that's laser designator pod.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's got nothing in it now, but it would have had a laser and a video camera in the front of it. So the navigator in the back's got a TV screen and a little joystick. So he will put the crosshairs of the laser onto the target and laser the target. Tell the pilot that the target's being lasered, and he would then drop the bomb. On the other side of the aircraft, there's a paved-way 2 laser guided bomb, which is obviously the weapon that would have dropped. This aircraft served in the Gulf War in '91.
91, yeah.
It lased targets for the tornadoes, and then later on in the war they actually dropped their own weapons as well. So they'd laze for the tornadoes would drop their weapons, and then the Buccaneers would come back round and drop its own weapons.
So, Story Canyon as well.
Yeah, they just used dumb bombs to the Sorry-Can, which took them about 4 days to sink the flipping thing. They dropped a couple of thousand tons on it on the pilot can kit.
Remember that one? Yeah.
And that's pretty much it, really. There's not a great deal at the back end. So, back end's mostly where the avionics go and what have you.
The first thing that build was a thing.
So in there's the avionics bay, which you access to a little door down here.
Oh, crikey. Think you could get down there again, Dad? Oh, my.
That's the access into the avionics bay.
You want to see if you can have a nosy down there, Dad?
Oh, no chance. I won't get up again.
Obviously, you've got the hook.
Yeah.
Even though this was built for the RAF, never went into naval service, they were built exactly the same way as the Navy ones were, because it was just easier and less expensive to build them that way. So, obviously, start changing things, you've got to start going through all the procedures of testing and everything. So.
I'm just looking there. We put like a honey frame on the petrol.
Yeah, some of them have it. So this one doesn't for some reason. Yeah, it sort of goes on there.
Yeah.
But then I think 168's got it. Yeah, in fact you can see it on the back because it sticks out slightly. I think it was something to do with fatigue in the air brakes. Not all of them had it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember doing it.
Well, I think 901's quite a young aeroplane called 68. The 68 was an ex-Navy aeroplane that went to the Air Force, whereas 901 was built specifically for the Air Force. So I just wonder if it's something to do with lots of carrier landings or something like that caused stress on the air brakes. Obviously, that was a later fit. That's the chaff and flare dispenser, which was only fitted, I think it's only maybe a couple of years before the Gulf War. So you've got one side, you've got a cartridge that holds flares, and the other side holds chaff.
Excuse me. Are you allowed up the steps?
No, I would say I'm just in a private tour. Have a look round this side.
Very good.
Oh, hey, you should be lucky, Dad. Very lucky.
There's the paved-way 2. Essentially, it's just a dumb bomb with a kit fitted to it. So it's the tail unit, and the front is what's the actual paved-way kit, which actually just turns it into a precision laser guided bomb. If you look there, that's the blowing ducts, the blow. So that's the one that blows over the flaps at the back. That's the one that blows over the all it is just tapped off. I think it's on the south state of the engine that the air's tapped off and it's just blown over the wing. But as you can see, when she was taken apart and moved here, she was taken apart very carefully. So yeah, it's one of the reasons why she's not a live aeroplane.
How far will you get with 168?
The long-term plan, if we can use the engines out of 901, is to get it running again. But that is a long-term plan.
Why the engines in 168 no good?
No,
Or?
they've been spares recovered, and we think they may well be changed as well when it landed at Brough.
Oh,
We don't know if it's the original.
crikey.
But yeah, so all the ancillaries and everything have been removed. So
Somebody's been out with the rubbing chips. We used to do that. Awesome.
So you've got either side of the aeroplane, you've got a couple of little access doors. So that one is for charging hydraulic system. For the general service hydraulic system, there's 2 hydraulic systems on the aeroplane. That's the general services, which is undercarriage, flaps, wing fold, bits and pieces like that. And then you've got the flying control services, which you would charge from the other side of the aeroplane.
Yeah.
And that's obviously for all the flying controls.
a sharp instrument.
Then in here you've got the fueling panel. So,
Bloody hell.
and then that's the actual fueling point.
Ah, whether
So it's pressure fueled. So you attach it, and then you go along and select which tanks you want to fill, whether you want to fill them all.
defuel, yeah.
And it's designed as well so you can't accidentally either leave the ground supply socket connected, or you can't leave them switched to refuel.
Yeah.
They've all got to be in the off position, and that's got to be down as well before you can shut the panel, so you can't accidentally leave it in the wrong position.
Pitot static.
Mm.
Airspeed indicators.
Brake pressure gauges, so you can actually check and make sure you've got pressure in the brakes before you actually get in the aeroplane. As you can see, there's no pressure in the brakes, it's empty. In there you've got the blue parrot radar.
Yeah.
It's not an air-to-air radar, it's an air-to-ground radar, so it's obviously designed because the aeroplane's designed to strike aeroplane, not as a fighter. So the radar sits in there, and all the bits and pieces for the radar sitting there, and the nose actually folds. When the aeroplane was designed, it had to be, I'm trying to remember the length, I think it had to be no more than 62 feet, something like that. So obviously when Blackburn's designed the aeroplane, it was longer. So that's why the air brakes at the back open out as petals, so it shortens the length of the aeroplane. And then all you do is, I won't actually open it because it gets to get short, pull the handle, swing the nose round, and that shortens the aeroplane as well. So I think the aeroplane was 2 inches shorter than the actual full length it could be. And the reason for that is so you can fit on the deck lifts on the aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
And it literally, I think it was about an inch clearance at either end of the deck lift to get it down into the hangar decks.
Jesus.
And one of the original things that really makes me laugh is the original thing from the Navy said they wanted to have hand grabs on the wingtips, so that when the aircraft landed, the deck hands could come out and grab the handles and pull the aeroplane to a stop if it was rolling. Until somebody pointed out that the aeroplane weighs quite a lot, and all it would do is roll off the deck and take the handling crew with it. So they decided to scrap that.
Yeah, it's flying brick shit out, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
Simple
say
as that.
absolutely built like a brick outhouse.
Yeah.
The one thing that was always different from RAF aeroplanes to Navy aeroplanes is the RAF ones had a landing light fitted on the
Yeah.
leg. The Navy aeroplanes never had a landing light fitted. So it's like 168's got one fitted now, but that was
didn't.
retrofitted after it came out of Navy service. The Navy jets for some reason never had landing lights. Don't know why. It's just a Navy thing. And that's pretty much it, really. And like I say, we're lucky. We've got, well, I'll say lucky. Maybe lucky. We've got 3. Keeps me out of the pub.
Yeah.
Keeps me busy.
Are you sure happy one of the aircraft you used to see is not in bits and pieces, crikey, that's
Yeah.
Well, you can't get much more Yorkshire than a Buccaneer.
No.
Robert Blackburn was a Yorkshireman. They were built in Yorkshire.
Yeah, they were.
So
Name the
you
pub.
can't get much more Yorkshire than a Buccaneer. So
They renamed the pub
yeah,
for the
I can
Buccaneers.
say I used to live in Brough, so I used to go drinking the Buccaneer every now and again.
Not Bert Weaver, was it?
Oh, it's a long time ago.
Not Bert Weaver, it was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Great landlord. Wife was
I
alcoholic.
can't remember who the landlord was back then.
That used to be the station hotel.
Too many beers. Fog the memory.
1 or 2. Yeah.
Crikey.
It was great because it was split between there and the ferry. So, you know,
Yeah, well, I used to go in the book for a pint and then wander down to the ferry and have one in the ferry.
Yeah.
I lived at the top end of Brough, so then I used to, I would say, walk, stagger back from the pub back home.
got rough chairs now on it.
Yeah, well, I say I've not been to Brough for a few years.
I've got to say the runway's gone now. They're digging
yeah,
that
it's
up.
housing estate
Yeah,
now,
housing,
isn't it?
yeah.
Oh, you've never seen so many houses in your life.
Well, I used to take the dog for a walk on the airfield. You know, they used to have the public footpath across the airfield. I used to take the dog and go for a walk across the airfield.
Yeah, the police used to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether Glen. Oh, yeah. That's only next to Lossy House, isn't it?
It's a whiskey.
Oh, is it?
All the Air Force books all got, well, I think all bar 2 of them got nose art, and they all got names of whiskies. So Glen Elkin's actually a whiskey.
Yeah.
So they all have whiskies.
Do the bombs represent how many targets it
Yes.
hit? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Is that the same on 168 and...
Well, 168 and 974 were never used in anger. 901
Right.
was the other one used in anger.
Yeah, got you.
So you see, you've got the little red aircraft settlement.
Yeah.
This aircraft destroyed a captured Q-80 C-130 on the ground.
Wow.
Which is why it's got
Bloody hell,
a
yeah.
kill.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it
What,
dropped it.
and what does the black and the red represent? The black...
I'm trying to remember. I think the red one is actually the bomb that dropped that destroyed the Q80 captured Hercules. I think the other ones are just standard bomb drops, if I remember rightly.
Bloody hell.
But all the nose arts were all named after the girlfriends of the crew chiefs.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh God.
What if she looks like that?
Maybe.
Ooh.
Who knows?
What parts have you worked on in on the Buccaneer, Dad? Any?
Oh, it's easier to say which ones I didn't work on. Let's put it that way. Well, funny enough, I was a shop lad for 6 months, and I was on in A shed, and there was everything. Most of the aircraft was in there, and it was taken to B shed to assemble. But Lord used to say, "What are you doing?" I said, "No, I've done all my duties. All right, come up here then." And I started drilling off and reaming off for the bolts for the fin. Huge casting it was.
Yeah.
Well, machine fitting on the top. God. He had muscles, you know, out there. he was looking at half-inch bolts, something like that, and countersinking. Don't think we used any filler in them days, have they?
Oof.
In case it
Well,
fell
how much
out.
filler it's got on this
Well,
now.
it'd fall out, dropping onto a carrier.
One of the things that was done with the aeroplane is things like all the wing skins and everything are all milled. So all the stringers are actually milled into the skin, where usually you would build the structure and then rivet the skin on.
Yeah.
So all the stringers and everything in the wings are actually milled into the skin, which cut down on the amount of riveting, and it increases the strength of the aeroplane as well.
Yeah. Where you drill a hole, there's stress.
Oh yes.
And then one of the things that makes the aeroplane so strong as well is the two spars that run through the aeroplane are solid steel and they're milled from steel as well. So it's one solid piece. So you've got two rings where the engines go through in the jet pipes.
Yeah.
The arch that goes over the top of the bomb bay, and then the stub parts of in the wing. So it's all milled solid steel, which is why the aeroplane's so strong. Obviously, because it had to withstand carrier landing. It had
Oh
to be
yeah.
really
Oh, I was
strong.
going to say yeah.
And it's back in the days as well where fatigue was still something that wasn't widely known, so they built the aeroplanes strong to stop fatigue cracking. Obviously these days they build aeroplanes for a finite lifespan, and once they've done the flying, that's it.
They're gone.
so.
Yeah.
I know they had one crash in the States in this red flag, and we ended up polishing all the machine fittings where they're fitted together when the wing come down and locked.
Yeah.
And we found out there was cracks there.
Yeah. Well, on the top of 6.8, there's a couple of panels just outboard of where the curve the top of the engine is, and that's where they found the fatigue cracks in the one that went in at red flag. And that one's actually what they actually did is they cut holes in the top of the skin so they could do the cracks and mill out the ones that weren't too bad, which 6.8 fortunately could be repaired. So there's actually a panel on top which is just literally, it's held in with big bolts really.
Bloody hell.
And so what they used to do is every time I went in for major service, they'd take that panel off and inspect the area again to make sure it hadn't come into new crack. But I think after red flag they lost something like 30% of the fleet because they were just so badly cracked that they couldn't be repaired. Because 2 and 6 Squadron had only recently been formed on Buccaneers, and they were instantly deformed because there wasn't enough aeroplanes, so they took all their aircraft off them and said, "Sorry, off your pop." And I think they went back to being a transport squadron.
We saw a film once, well it was in the red flag, and they were doing something like a 7G, 8G10 at 60 feet. You know, you literally, 90 degrees.
Yeah.
You know, 180 degrees in the way they were flying round. I thought,
Oh, someone toppled up a bit there.
Yeah, some of the blanks are falling out. Yeah, when we took them out to red flag, they flew so low that the American F-15s couldn't get a lock on them because they couldn't get a lock because they were so low.
Yeah.
They actually had to start flying a bit higher because the Americans figured out that they're flying so low they'd leave a dust trail behind them on the desert floor. So they actually started flying a little bit higher so they didn't leave a dust trail behind them.
Ah, clever.
I think that's where Dick Frosbury got the idea from, you know, because the Buccaneers used to go down the mountain ranges and flip it over like that and rotate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you told me about that. Yeah.
I thought, I won't fancy doing that.
Do you ever walk up and go have a look at 974?
Yeah.
So you probably have them quite a bit working 74 with a bit of a prototype of it.
Do you remember any particular Buccaneers you've worked on?
No, they never had, didn't have numbers then.
So just had build numbers when you were working with them on
Yeah.
shops.
Well, I used to cycle as well. We used to race round Stockbridge roundabout. We used to start there in the morning, Sunday mornings. But of course, they used to take the Buccaneers out to us on the Sunday morning. I had to ride underneath one. it was like that.
Okay, so this is 974. This is the original, well, the first production S2. So she's a little bit different to a production aeroplane. She's got foibles, like she's got S1 wheels and brakes and things like that.
Bloody hell. This will be one you've definitely worked on then, Dad.
I don't know.
If you worked in development, you will have done because you were using development there. When we basically got her in 91, she was donated to us by British Aerospace when they stopped flying her. She was in wraparound camouflage, and then a few years ago we painted her back in. This is literally colour scheme. She came out of the factory, so she's back into the navy colours. But like I say, she was used as a test airframe her entire life. She never went to service. So as you can see, bomb door is the flush bomb door rather than the bomb door tank. But like I say, this is the aeroplane we keep live, so we do run her.
What are you planning to have 168 be live as well as this one?
If we can make sure the engines are good in 901, then that's hopefully the long-term plan that we can have 168 running as well. But it's a big if. There's a lot of things that need to fall into place before that.
Yeah.
You still have to get Rolls Royce in there to sort them out. You're allowed to do it.
Yeah, so, well, because we're only ground running, we're not flying, so we don't basically need any support.
Rolling once, we had the 2 ones, converting them for the Sea Harbour avionics. And the rep had been, well, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning at Osm. He says, oh, I've just got half a dozen wire lock-ins to do. I says, oh, we'll do that. And of course we signed it off. Whoa, it was hell on. You don't touch that engine, it's not yours.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with you, leave it alone.
Yeah. So, fair enough. Only doing him a favour.
Never did anything like that again, did you?
Yeah.
Not that he's that big to anyway.
Well,
Nearly got an inspector sacked.
really? You did?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Well, flying controls, you had to duplicate them. And all he did was sign it off. He says, there you are, because he was in a hurry to get on. I says, hey, where? Go in. He said, oh, I missed the bus. I said, we've got transport. I said, you're stopping here till you finish this. He says, you're not in charge of me. I thought, oh. Anyway, went home. So I reported him. I stopped back. George Chesney was in charge then. I told him, and he went, whoops. Anyway, I never did see him again. He put him back on days for education. I thought you silly bugger, you know. I know, you know, luckily they get out, can't they? If anything happens, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the point.
Yeah, it's a point, definitely a point. I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll have one down to 6.8 and I'll put the ground power unit and I'll put the lights and everything else so you can get a bit of video
Yeah,
of
yeah.
with the lights on. It's not all of the lights are working yet. The top of the
Yeah,
drone,
no, I
so
saw
the
a
power
video
unit.
that was put up a while ago showing the electrics, and I think the artificial horizon was doing 360
Yeah,
turns.
that's still doing 360 turns. I've not figured out what the issue is.
I think I showed you it, and I think you, yeah. Ah, dear.
At least when you had aircraft like that, we knew when the bad weather was coming because we used to look at the pressure.
Yeah.
And you used to say, right, it's going to be a nice night tonight. And you used to look at it and think, oh, Christ. Looks better flying, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I wish we were allowed to.
Phew.
You know, it looks a bit... My mate said, oh, isn't it ugly? I says, yeah, but you want to see it on the... see
When
it
it's in the
flying.
when it's in the sky,
Yeah.
it's a beauty. Yes, yeah, we're at the York Museum. This here is a Blackburn Buccaneer. Remember all this is for you, Dad. Yeah.
Just give me a minute to warm up. Yeah, so essentially what this does, it supplies AC power to the aircraft, whereas normally obviously the AC power, well, all the power is supplied to the engine generators, but it's basically power the aircraft without having to start the engine. So. It's only a few weeks ago that we put AC power on, that's the first time it's been on since the Blues Club. So it's 30 years.
Bloody hell. It's done well though that some of the electrics are still working on it considering it's been that long.
I did have to go through it and check quite a lot of things before I put the power on.
Right, yeah.
No, just put ground power on.
Alright, okay.
I don't know whether it was or not. I think Kappa Pass been the bonus back.
Well, we all went outside to it. I can't remember which came first. I know there was an issue about that. I'm not thinking it's big of a issue.
Well, I say I've had emails with Rick Fleetwood regarding flew it in. I was hoping when we finished repainting her a couple of years ago that we were going to have a rollout and get Rick to come down and bail her, but it never quite worked out that way.
Because it's a proper cover that one, and like that, well, that one's, yeah.
Yeah, that was the same, it's just that's actually rolled open.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah.
Right, I'm going to wind it up, it's going to get a bit noisy.
You ready? Again. X-Ray Victor 168 that landed in Brough. The only Buccaneer that landed in Brough. Before she was retired.